What is going on YouTube? What are you guys up to? It's been a minute. Just kidding, it hasn't been that long. It's been a couple days, but you know what I mean. We're gonna make another video. But this video is gonna be about how we're gonna do a pad slap or a what not to do to your Cobra. We're gonna slap some pads in this bad boy right here. You shouldn't really do this. The only reason I'm doing this is because I know what I'm doing. I know what it does. I know the risks involved with doing this. And I'm gonna be doing the work myself and fixing it and replacing everything later on down the line. My cost on parts to do this was 20 bucks basically, so that's what it was for a set of front pads. This will be enough to get you by. And really the reason you don't wanna do this is because your rotors will get these waves into them. Waves or grooves worn into them from your pads, and just over time that's what they do. You get spots in the pads that are a little bit harder than the rotor, and then they, you know, wear the rotor down a little bit until that part of the pad finally wears away, and then it's soft. So what happens is you get this wavy action in your rotor. Well, when you get new pads and your pads are completely straight and your rotor has these waves and you put it in, now you don't have a lot of surface area making contact. And so what that can do is decrease the amount of braking capability you have, or the amount of surface area touching when you do that. This is a big no-no, because when you go to brake and your pads are brand new, you haven't driven them for at least a couple thousand miles, they won't wear into these grooves, therefore you're gonna have very minimal surface area and your car's not gonna stop as well. I know the risks involved with doing this, I know why I'm doing this, I'll show you guys in the video. I just wanna let you guys know that's the reason why. Don't do this unless you know what you're doing. Yeah, let's go ahead and get on with this. I'm excited, I hope you guys enjoy it, so let's go. Right here, right now, we're gonna be doing a pad slap technique, which is very bad for your car. You shouldn't do this. In all honesty, you should either take your rotors off and get them turned, or buy new rotors and new pads and put them on as an assembly. This is what I'm doing because I'm in a hurry and I'm being lazy. But the rotors aren't in that bad a shape. They have some hot spots on them, which I'm okay with, but I'm gonna get new pads here, or new rotors I mean, probably shortly. Get a good set of rotors and pads. I may even change the calipers and go bigger. I have not decided yet, but as of right now, this is what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna show you guys kind of what not to do to your 0304 Cobra. Also, I'm gonna show you what all the hardware, or I'm gonna show you all the hardware that you need to be aware of when doing this. People always forget about the hardware on these cars, or they take them off and they throw them away and they go with the pads, and then they rattle like you're going, or you're a train on a train track. So we don't want that. I'm gonna show you these little pads and little clips that you need to, or the little clips on the pads that you need to retain, or buy, you know, complete. They sell what they call a hardware kit. So you buy the brake pads and then you buy a hardware kit separately and install them. But I'm gonna show you guys that, so let's go. So let me show you guys what I'm talking about. Right there, you guys can see there's some hot spots on this rotor. But if you look, here's what you really wanna look at is, here's what you guys really want to look at is right here. This is the lip. Make sure this lip isn't too big. You can definitely feel it's going to be worn here. This is going to be taller and this is going to be taller because the pad rides right in between those two. I have some hot spots. There's a little bit of weird wear. I don't care about it personally. Pads are 20 bucks, so I'm just going to pad slap it, but let's go right here. Here's the retaining clip. Here's the retaining clip right here. This is the guy that we're gonna just take this clip off, knock that pin back, and this whole thing's gonna slide up. And this right here is the pressure clip or spring. So this puts constant tension on the caliper so it doesn't rattle around. So this whole caliper doesn't rattle around inside this assembly. So let's go ahead and get on that. If you have one, cool, but a little screwdriver comes in handy, a little flathead. One that'll fit between the clip. Just put it in there and spin it. It'll take the clip right off, clips off, out. Set it down, don't lose it. And as you can see, if I push down on this caliper and I push the pin, it'll come out as an assembly, or it comes out easier because there's these springs put tension on it. And that's one thing you guys want to make sure when you do this, is that these guys are actually putting pressure, or you have to physically push this down to get the pin in. If not, this thing's gonna rattle, so just be aware of that. I'm gonna have to get a little pry bar. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. That lip that we're talking about, that's always a pain in the butt to get the brakes around, because the brake pads squeeze on the rotor. They'll squeeze, but if there's a lip above the top when you're trying to slide it off, that lip's gonna keep it on. So sometimes you need this. just give it a pry. Away we go, it came out. It kicked the other spring, that's what you guys heard. So, from there, that's really it. So now the rotor can move around. We don't have any bolts in it. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll take a bolt or a nut, spin it on. But you want to make sure you don't spin it all the way on, because if your studs are long, you'll actually pop the top of this acorn nut off. So I just spin them until they stop. A lot of times it'll just barely touch the rotor. It just makes it easier and kind of centers the rotor where it should be, so when you go to put your new pads on, it's really easy. Here it is. Here's that spring I was talking about. It fell off the pad. What we're going to do next, guys, is get a pair of vice grip, or not vice grips, a pair of channel locks. Let's see where I put my channel locks. I like to get a big pair like this. These are 460s, is the channel lock 460. I also like to get a little knee pad. Where's my little knee pad? Okay, got my knee pad. What are you laughing at over there, huh? See yourself on camera? I gotta do this quick. We got a Halloween party to go to, so I'm trying to knock this out. Take this, open it up big like. I'll show you guys what I'm doing. So, what I'm doing here, guys, is I'm grabbing like that, and I'm gonna squeeze this, and what it's gonna do, I wish I could hold this camera and do that at the same time. I just want you to show them what we're doing there. Hold on. Okay. So, just make sure you guys aren't grabbing your brake line here. We're just gonna get on the back of the caliper and right here on the pad, and try and get in the center, because we want to squeeze. See it going in? Can be hard sometimes, sometimes they'll stick. If these guys are leaking or there's fluid around these, you want to make sure that you change them or replace your calipers, because that's your seals. So, and when you do this, you want to do it slowly. See how I'm going slowly? Slowly and evenly, because I don't want to destroy them or squirt, because you can have them squirt out. Sometimes when you're compressing them, they will squirt a little fluid, and that's okay. Just as long as when you step on the brake, do a test when you get your pads back in and everything, step on the brake, make sure that they're not leaking. So when you're done with this, clean them up, put them back. If they're leaking, you're going to need to replace the seals, or either rebuild them or buy new calipers. But that's about it. Sometimes I'll go onto a side and just make sure that this side's down all the way, that guy's down all the way. And what this is doing too, is if you have a warning light on, because usually when your pads are this bad, you'll have a warning light on for your brake when you're braking hard or accelerating hard, and it will say, hey, your emergency brake light's up, letting you know you're low on fluid. When you're accelerating hard to the back of the master, braking hard to the front. So, as you can see, these pads don't have a lot. This one's almost gone. This one's a decent ways away from the wear bar, but this guy, if it had a wear bar, would be, you know, it's done. Look at that. So, always worry, always pay attention. It's a good thing I caught these soon enough. And then, a little brake clean. Run, baby, run. I just like to clean it up, clean these surfaces up, because this is where I'm going to be putting my grease. Brake pads in the... You see this? The grease in there too. There's a bottle of grease. Oh. Did you see these almost falling out the bottom when you handed it?
No. Oh my god. That's
I was like, oh my god, and you handed it up over the window and the door could have chipped the glass or scratched the door.
Sorry, I didn't even notice.
I got it, guys. I got it. And then you want to look at these and make sure that they are differente or the same, because obviously you're going to need one of each like that. See how these two have scrapers on them and they're opposites, so you're going to need a pair that goes together with these nubs. See, these backs are flat with where the bar goes, so that's obviously going to be one side. Where these guys go, you have these little cutouts and then these holes. So you obviously, that's how they're supposed to go. You can't do a pair that is I guess the opposite of that, like this. This wouldn't work, guys. I don't know if you guys can see that, because you need them to go together like that. So these two, but you need to make sure that you don't do this, because these two will go together and these two will go together. These guys have tensioning springs on them, and these guys have the scrapers. So one scraper per side, that's your wear scrape. I think they should do one on each, but whatever. And then the springs, I'm gonna put a spring on the ones that don't have a spring. See, this guy doesn't have a spring on it. I'm gonna go ahead and reuse my old spring and put it on. You may have to crimp these guys a little closer together to get it on there to stay, because it's a little loose. So if you can get it in like this, it'll stay. It won't go anywhere. But all right, now where's my grease? And then these guys go on the back. They have a little wrap. All right, there you go, guys. Get it started. Get your screwdriver through there. Peel this off. This is going to be sticky. Take it through there, get it, stick it on like so. Now we're going to take some of our grease. Doesn't take a lot, guys. A lot of people overdo it. I just put a little bit on the back of the pads here. Mainly in the center where they're going to get pushed. Well, they get pushed around here, but grease the back of this pad. A little bit there on these ends where they slide. That one's done. Alright guys, now that we did that, get your pads. These little spring guys are going to go into the hole on the pistons. And it's kind of difficult sometimes. See, that one went in. And I want to put my other spring. Guys, got to make sure you have springs on each one. I run them that way. Some people don't. I think it's better to. Like, they send you one per pad. Some of these spring fingers fight you because they're so cheaply made. Tolerances aren't right, so. I cannot make a good tolerance. Okay, now that our China stuff is in there, this end goes first. If you did like me, see, it's kind of tight on the caliper. We're gonna make sure we want to touch these ends with some grease, because I touched them with my finger. So we're gonna put a good amount of grease because that other side is dry. Oh, that's a little bit much, but oh, you know, they're gonna ride right there and right there, and then on these ends, oh. I'm gonna try and take some of this off. Perfect. And then your springs. Can I get by you?
Yes.
Right here. Okay, now that that's done, take your pin. My big old head's in the way. My big head. This is always hard too, with trying to film it and be out of the camera's way and get it as pin in the butt. But we're just gonna get this pin, and I'm gonna push down on this and feed the pin through, and then put my E-clip back on it. That's all I'm doing, guys. So as you saw, I have my springs on both sides, the anti-rattle clip, so they won't rattle. Then I'm just gonna do this. I wish I had some light to see. Like so. Should be snug. You guys want it to be nice and snug like that with your pin in. That means it's not gonna rattle, it's not gonna make noise. That E-clip that I took off earlier is right here. If you spread it out really far, squish it back down a little bit, or just buy a new hardware kit. I'm not too worried about it coming out. Clipped in there nice. It's not gonna go anywhere. And then ta-da, we're done. So, take your thing, your nut back off. That's it, guys. That's all we had to do. So, obviously repeat the same process on the other side. This is one of the easiest jobs you can do on your Cobra. The biggest thing that people destroy, screw up, are these clips. So make sure you get these clips in. That's it, guys. Just make sure you get these clips. Like this one's a little loose. I could squeeze it. Once it gets in there, this is gonna put tension down on it. It's not gonna go anywhere. So if it's too loose for you, go ahead and squeeze it together, make it tighter to get on. Once they're in there, they like physically can't come out. I've never had one come out in all the cars I've owned. So that's really it, guys. Other than that, you can clean this up. See where I've touched it with my hands if you want to. I don't care. It's gonna get brake dust everywhere. So especially being that these are like an organic type pad. One thing I will say, after you do brake pads like this though, if your car has like 40 or 50,000 miles, I would recommend bleeding the brakes and flushing all the brake fluid. So watch your reservoir, see how much fluid you have in, drain it almost all the way to the bottom, then fill it all the way up, drain that almost all the way to the bottom, fill it up, and then I'd probably, you know, by bleeding it, bleed that third full reservoir of fluid all the way, and just keep bleeding till you see each wheel, the fluid coming out of each wheel be clean as the new stuff, and then that's it, you're done. And I recommend going to a 0.4 over a 3 if you're hard on your car in the way that these calipers get really hot on the rotors because they're small and overworked. Your fluid could get hot and boil, and 0.4 has a higher boiling point, so if you're going to be tracking your car hard on it, that's the best thing to do. So thank you guys, my girlfriend's amazing. It's cute, it's so cute, guys. My girlfriend thinks it's cute. The little tripod on my camera's cute. All right. She's laughing. Look at her. She's over there making food. I think we've been spotted. Just kidding. Well, yes, we have been spotted. Okay, guys. So we're done with the brakes. I wanted to tell you guys, when you're finished with your brakes, if you're pad slapping it like I did, regardless whether you do new rotors and new pads and you do it the right way or you pad slap it like I did, you want to make sure the first thing you do, get in it and pump your brake pedal a bunch of times. You want to push them and get those pads to come in, the new pads to touch the rotor. Make sure you guys do that. Don't screw that up because you'll get in your car and try and stop and you won't be able to. So, and then also just be wary. Like when you first do brakes on your car, you might screw something up. So always have your hand on the e-brake ready to, you know, pull that thing if you have to, just in case you mess something up on your brakes. Like say they worked when you backed out of the driveway, but then you went down the street and they didn't. So, but that's it. Mine worked really well. I'm very stoked with how they came out. The car is braking pretty nicely now. That's it, guys. If you like this video, give it a big fat thumbs up. Give it a subscribe on that subscribe button. That's going to be right up here. And hit that bell, because that bell is going to let you know when I make another video. So you can come watch that video and get yourself some knowledge from somebody that's actually worked on cars for a long time. I may look young, but I'm almost 30. I've been working on cars for 10, 12 years now, so I have a little bit of knowledge in doing this. I'm not the best by far. There's people a lot better than me out there, but I know quite a bit and I'm willing to pass it on, the knowledge that I've gained doing this over the years. So thank you guys for watching this video. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.